Today's our faculty will be Shri Prabhat Saraswat ji. He is a genius in this subject. He is an accredited energizer, passed out his BTech from NIT Surat, and has lot of expertise in carbon market. When I discussed with him to have this program, he immediately agreed. He was holidaying in Goa, but he told that once I reach, we definitely will have a good show. And this presentation which he will be sharing today, it is not just 5 days or 7 days job. It is a work or effort of almost 1 year, 2 years. The way he is practicing this initiative, and he will be sharing this knowledge, his insight to all of us. Hope all the stakeholders, all these participants will enjoy the sessions and get lot of knowledge. And this program is jointly organized by IMP, IEA, Indian Association of Accredited Energizers, UCCIL, under the banner of Mission Social India. You can all join IMP as a live member. And without any further delay, I now request Shri Prabhat Saraswat ji to take over and start his proceedings, start his sessions. And we can have all the questionnaires answered in the last, but definitely I'll request to put all the questions in the chat box by introducing them yourselves. And if required, Prabhat ji can intervene, take up some right question at right moment. So I request all of you to put your name and your question in the chat box. Definitely question and answers is the important one. Now I welcome Shri Prabhat Saraswat ji to take over and start the session. Prabhat.
So thank you, Vibhuji, and thank you all the organizers to organize this webinar and inviting me for sharing my whatever I have learned. Little bit, not as you have said, not expert, but because I'm not representing any expert organization, but whatever I have learned from last 10, 12 years in the carbon market. So I have gathered the information and try to, you can say, capture the whatever the information are available publicly or whatever I have experienced during my you can say tenure with the Midcon consultancy, when the CDM you can say project was there and everybody was busy in certified emission reduction. And I think India and China, you know that we are the largest exporter of CR under the CDM. So with this, I will start. And just now I'm sharing my presentation. So as already we have decided that we will discuss about the carbon trading market and the methodology for issuance of CR certificates. Not particularly for INS, it will be applicable to other industries also, because the methodology will remain same. But we have considered iron and steel with some few cases that how it will be calculated. So that will be the agenda for the discussion. So I think I will take very little time for A and B sections. So I have segregated in 7 sections. So section A and B, I think I will not take much time because these are the introductory part. And this the background and sustainability urgency in India. I think everybody is aware, and there is no much you can say content for the discussion. Just I will show the slides which I have, and then I will share the international carbon market, the history of international carbon market and how it progressed and what is the status quo at present. And then we will discuss our domestic or national Indian carbon market, and because it is under the proposed stage or it is in the under consultancy stage, it is not issued, but whatever we have gone through this draft document, we have captured some informations related to the industry and to the other stakeholders, which may be relevant in near future. And then I have just put some slides on the brief overview of steel sectors and what are the challenges related to the sustainability and what are the opportunities it can be, you can say, encased by the industries with this sustainability aspects. And then I have also mentioned some best available technologies which can be implemented in the iron and steel sectors related to the energy efficiency improvement, as well as the low carbon technologies. And what are the emerging technologies? Basically, the last sections I will be taking. What are the emerging technologies, or you can say the based on the maturity level, or based on the technological readiness level. So in the coming next 5 to 10 years, which are the emerging technologies and which are the projects you can say are demonstrated in the industry, and some projects are on the pilot stage. So based on that, I have gathered some information, and I have gathered you can say some results on the pilot projects or demonstration projects for sharing with you. So I will not take much time. This is the company which I am representing. This is the Euro-Asia Consulting Company. Basically, it is based in Germany and headquartered in Munich. And I am in Mumbai office. So these are some verticals we have. So I am representing sustainability, and I am working as a principal over there. So not miss. So these are the other services related to the sustainability which our company is offering. So related to the carbon footprint and related to the ESG formulation. So these are the all various activities which we are offering to our clients. So I think already Mr. Vivu has introduced myself, so I think I can skip it. And this is my small experience related to the energy sectors in the, you can say, for energy management advisory services or energy audits related to the energy conservation and energy efficiency in the various sectors. Yes. So before just going forward, before jumping into the carbon market, so just I want to set some context that why this is urgent, why we are talking sustainability, and everybody is talking about the sustainability and ESG compliance, and we are talking about the net zero or carbon neutrality. So basically, why it is there, and we are talking everywhere this subject. So some few slides I have captured. So I think these are all information are available in the public domain, but just I have mentioned one that the shrinkage of this Gangotri glacier is also there, and it is sinking very rapidly for last 10-12 years. So this is very basic, and I think everybody is aware about this also. Just I am talking about the extreme, you can say, the changes due to the because of the climate change we are facing. Even recently, I think on 3rd May we have faced that in Delhi also, where very thunderstorm was there, and it was the lowest temperature in month of May in last 41 years. So we are facing these all, you can say, extreme weather conditions during our days for last 4-5 years. So now this cloud burst into Uttarakhand, everybody is aware what was happened. And this is the flooding in Chennai in 2015. So now why these are the basic, you can say, the background we can discuss on that. So the sustainability planning now is very, very important, and why it is so urgent, not in India, across the globe. Everybody is, you can say, going forward for adopting the sustainable practice for their businesses. So as you know that we are the, you can say, 12 out of the top 15 Asian polluted cities are located in India. We are the 3rd largest GHG emissions globally, only behind China and US. And you know, the industry segment contributes to 30% of India's total CO2 emissions, and majorly the contribution from the coal-fired power plants. So these are the impacts, you can say, we are facing, because as you know earlier, I can divide this all emissions into the 3 basically categories. You can the first generation, second generation, third generation. So in the first generation, we have heard that okay, this was the SPM level should there, my 100 ppm, 200 ppm. Then we concentrated on the SOx level and NOx level. So, and also the loss to PM 10.0 and PM 2.5. So you can consider the second generation air pollutions. But now we are talking about this third generation air pollutions related to the GHG emissions. Basically, why we have not focused earlier, because you know that these GHG emissions have the impact in the longer period. So now the time has come to, you can say, focus on the third generation emissions also, or you can say the air emissions. These are also basically air emissions and changing the weather condition the longer term. That is why we are saying that it's the change in the climate. So these are some impacts. I will not discuss in details. The information are available. So now the sustainability we are talking about. So the first very important pillar of that ESG is basically environment. So we will focus on the environment for today's discussion, and we will not go into detail about the social and governance aspect of the ESG. So in environment, climate change study is very important for companies, and biodiversity. We are talking about the water efficiency, carbon intensity, and environmental management system. So that is why just I have put these slides that this is the one important pillar of the ESG compliance also. And why I have put that I will discuss in the later slide, because in India also there is sustainability reporting compliance has been issued for you can say top 1000 listed company based on the market capitalization. So, so you know that we are facing all these challenges. I think I will not discuss in details. These are very general topics, and everybody is aware about all this. So, how does a company report basically ESG? So, several national and international reporting standards are available for to report ESG for a company. But I think as of now, there is no ISO certified reporting system is available. But many standards are available, which have been recognized internationally and following big companies. So basically, ESG today we are saying that it's a reporting framework, but originally it was a framework developed for evaluating the sustainability aspect basically. So because if company is saying, okay, we are more sustainable, so there are three parameters on which we can evaluate any company, how much you are sustainable based on that three pillars of sustainability. But nowadays we are talking, okay, the ESG is reporting, so we are not talking about sustainability, we are talking about the ESG compliance. So basically, as of now, it is known as like ESG reporting framework. So with the demand of ESG related information on the rise, the ESG framework has become synonyms with reporting. So that is basically interchangeable, sustainability or ESG compliance. So now you can say the mostly the two more you can say recognized reporting system for sustainability as of now, the global reporting initiatives and the sustainable accounting standards board, or you can say SASB. So just so now in India also we have our own sustainability reporting system, and it has been notified by SEBI already. Mr. Bibu has shared with you that it will be mandatory for top 1000 company from the financial year 2020 to 23. So this year will be the reporting year or the compliance year. So, but slowly the more industries or more companies will be included for reporting their sustainability aspects in the name of the business responsibility and sustainability report. So that will be issued along with their annual report, and I think there is a good opportunity in which this our fraternity or this accredited energy auditors can, you can say, come into the picture to support industry to prepare such type of reports as far as environmental aspects are concerned, related to their energy efficiency, related to their water efficiency, related to their carbon intensity, to calculate the carbon footprint. So these are some aspects which can enter into the segments also. So there are the three sections, basically the general disclosure sections, management and process disclosures, and the principle. There are basically 9 principles are there. So like some mandatory indicators they need to disclose, that is called essential indicators, or you can say mandatory, and the leadership indicators, or you can say it is just on voluntary basis you can disclose those if you have achieved a good, you can say, result related to the environmental or environmental friendly aspects, or you have reduced some air pollution, you have reduced some CO2 emissions. So based on that you can disclose their voluntary but I will not discuss in details that how it will be prepared. There is some guidelines are there, national guidelines reporting for business conduct. There is a national guideline for this BRS report. So I think, but the 9 principles we have taken from the, you can say, the international reporting systems or guidelines, and all the each principles of out of 9 principles, each principles we can correlate it with our UN SDG as you know that we have 17 SDGs declared by the UN. So our each principle, which are the core, you can say, the part of our reporting system. So each principle will affect or you can impact the SDG. So these are some I have prepared based on that KPIs in the each principles. So all are related with the each SDGs. Yeah. So this is the basic background. Now we can discuss about the. I think I will start with the international carbon market. And as everybody is aware that there is a race, basically, I can say it. There is a race to net zero, and there is a country wise. I have not considered all the countries, but some major countries or some selected countries I have put here, and you can see that the net zero target, and you can see at the left hand side or it is right hand side from your screen that before 2023. So there are the two aspects basically, the carbon peak and the carbon neutrality. So the country which have already achieved their carbon peak, it means they have started reducing their carbon emissions. So you can see here, the excluding India and China, all the European countries have achieved their carbon peak, and they have started, you can say, reducing their carbon emissions. So in India already, you know that we have the target, net zero target by 2070, but we are expecting our peak because you know that our energy demand is increasing based on our per capita energy consumption and as well as based on the population also, and in the absolute term also. So if you see that we will not be, even we are you can say putting all this renewable source, wind, solar, hydro, and everything we are putting, but still because the demand is higher and our deployment of the renewable source of energy is low, so that speed is not matching. So based on that, we are expecting that by 2040, 45, or sorry, maximum 45, we will achieve our carbon peak, and then we will have around 30 years to achieve our net zero target. So we need to prepare ourselves accordingly to achieve the net zero, which has been committed by Government of India in the Paris Agreement. Yeah. So why it is urgent also, because everybody is talking about limiting the temperature, you can say increase below 1.5 degrees centigrade. Somebody is talking about 1.7. So why we are talking about? Because there is certain, you can say, the carbon dioxide emissions concentration in the atmosphere, which is contributing for the global warming. So we need to limit that concentration of the CO2 in terms of ppm, or it is around, it should be below 400 ppm. So it is more than. So if you consider these, that how much we have already consumed means how much we have emitted in the atmosphere. So based on that, if we are targeting that our temperature increase should not go beyond 1.5 degrees centigrade, and we have considered like 50% the likelihood of that scenario. So we have already emitted to 2495 gigaton of GHG emission, and out of that, if we want to limit it below 1.5, then we have only 9 years, and with the you can say amount of 380 gigatons. So we have the carbon budget. It is the global carbon budget. It is not for India. It is not for China. It is not for US. So 380 gigaton, we have the complete budget. I think you people may be aware about that. Around 40 gigaton annually we are emitting globally. So we have around 9 years to achieve that figure. So in the same scenario, if we don't get this, then temperature will go up to 1.7 degrees centigrade, and it will take 13 years with the budget of 730. So these are the basic figures. Just I wanted to show that to understand what are the meaning of carbon budget, what we have. Like everybody is having budget, in even our family, we have certain budgets to meet our expenses, and we have certain incomes. And based on that, we you can say make our expenditures. So these are also, you can say, you have to you can see in this direction that we have also limited carbon budget to consume it. So now, what are the carbon markets? So and carbon credits. So basically, carbon markets, you can refer. Basically, it's a trade of carbon credits between the two parties, or basically, or you can say the carbon credits maybe compliance market or the voluntary market also. There are the two type of markets. If you talk about the carbon market, so there's the compliance market. Like earlier it was CDM. CDM is now is not exist now. And the Paris Agreement Article 6.4, this is also you can say the compliance market, and the European Union ETS. So these are the like compliance market you can say, and the voluntary market. There are some different standards like Vera Gold standards, American Carbon Registry, and the Climate Action Reserve, ART, BCR. These are some voluntary carbon markets in which we can get the we can receive the carbon credits after registering after the project registration under these registry. So these are the international carbon markets, voluntary carbon market. And later in the later stage, we will discuss about our national domestic market also, how it differs from this. So how it works basically. So there are the four stakeholders in this complete schemes for any carbon project. So first is the project developers who is investing the money, and who is designing the project, and which is you can say helpful to offset the carbon or remove or reduce the carbon from the atmosphere. And the standard bodies. So they are the certifying agency, or you can say the validation and verification body, which are you can say approved by the standard or registry like Vera and Gold standard. So they have to validate our project whether this project is in line with the methodology, approved methodology or not. Then the brokers, once this project is registered and the carbon credits are issued under the voluntary carbon market, then we can go to the brokers, or like you are aware about that we have our energy saving trading platform like PXIL and IXI. So such type of brokers or exchange are there in the international market for voluntary carbon credits. And buyers like now based on their commitment for achieving their net zero or decarbonizing their business based on their timeline. So some buyers are there to meet their compliance for purchasing voluntary carbon markets. So one carbon credit is basically equivalent to 1 metric ton of GHG emissions, and you can say the 1 ton of CO2 equivalent. Yeah. And also the carbon credit can be sold multiple times until it is retired by the end users, and it is declared that okay, they are declaring so much carbon credits to compensate their carbon emission. So this is the another key factor of the carbon credits. So now why carbon markets is required? So what is the demand? So drivers of the carbon market demand. So key factors, like I think if you see the last year the issuance of the voluntary carbon credit (VR) or verified emission reduction, and the 21 and 22, I think there are 3 times you can say increase in that voluntary carbon market. So why? One is the Paris Agreement, because every country has their own NDCs, nationally determined contribution for reducing their carbon emission, reducing the GHG emission along with the timelines. And the technology gaps. So companies are limited by technologies that are available at a scale and not cost. Maybe some for some industries, say example, I am talking about steel industry. As of now, I think there is no cost-effective measures to put into the plant to reduce their carbon emission, because carbon capture utilization is also not, you can say, now cost effective. Even the green hydrogen is also not available. So in that case scenario, how they will you can say go forward for reducing their carbon emissions? So for those industries, they have already, like Tata, Vedanta, JSW, they have already committed their net zero target by 2050 or 2045. So for those voluntary, you can say these are the voluntary carbon basically customers, they will buy such type of. And time gaps, companies do not have the means, you can say that the timeline. Say example, okay, I want to replace my all fossil fuel, or you can say the coal based blast furnace into the hydrogen based blast furnace. Then as of now, there is a time gap. I think it will take 10 years. So these are the one factor, but we need to, you can say, act now. So these are the another carbon market demand factors. and the stakeholder pressures. So you know that everybody is now talking about that sustainability and ESG compliance. So I think you may be aware about that there is a ESG corpus fund is also there. So funding is also based on now ESG scores or sustainability score as of now. So these are the pressure from the stakeholders also. So these are the key, you can say, factors for driving the voluntary carbon market. So this is the you can say overview of the global carbon market for last 5 years. If you see that, I think you can see the, you can say, growth in the one from 2020 to 21. It's 4 times approximately. So there was a market of around 2,000 million USD or 2 billion USD. And you can see the change in the price also in the voluntary carbon market. The average global price increased from $2.5 in 2022 and I think $4 in 2021. So there is a, because there is a demand and supply gap is also there. So these are some key highlights. Or basically, voluntary carbon markets are, you can say, they are not legally mandated or binded, even not enforced, but it's a self-governed, you can say, market, depending on the demand of their sustainability aspects or for their ESG compliance or their self-commitment for decarboning their industry. So these are the carbon, you can say, the next forecast for up to 23 for the carbon markets, and basically it is for voluntary carbon market only, and it is based on the basically the demand and how, from where demand is coming. So you can say all pledges you can say disclosed by the companies, and the global aviation also, the air aviation, they are also trying to, you can say, decarbonize or to achieve net zero. They're all flights, or you can say all international aviation. There is certain CORSIA scheme is also there. It is for basically the global aviation demand. It is the aviation demand for carbon offsetting and reduction scheme for international aviations. So these are the various, you can say, organizations or the associations. They are searching for, they are looking for, you can say, purchasing carbon credits to neutralize or to reduce their carbon emissions. So, and what are the price expectation for the different markets? So VCM, basically it is for voluntary carbon market, and there is another terminology, you can say, the CA, this is the corresponding adjustment. So it has come into the picture because of that every country is also you can say planning to achieve their NDC. But if we are selling our carbon credits to the other countries, then there will be adjustment, because to avoid any double counting for the two countries, where it is when we are selling carbon credits in the international market. So there the adjustment will be there. So based on that, because without the corresponding adjustment, price of VCM is around 2 to 6 euro per ton of CO2 equivalent, but it will decrease because over the time, as preferred credits become available. As of now, it is not available, but it will be available in the next 5 to 6 years. So these are some different like ITMO. I think you will be aware about the internationally transferred mitigation outcomes. Basically, this is the terminology has come from the Paris Agreement Article 6.2. And the other market, which is, you can say, no, and is the very oldest market, they have established this emission trading scheme. I think they're the first European across the globe, this trading scheme they started. So 5,200 euro dollar ton per of CO2 equivalent. So these are the some forecast. I have taken it from one perspective climate group. So now the objective of carbon markets. So how it will work basically. So there are the two types of, you can say, segment. One is the compliance and one is the voluntary carbon market. So when we are, you can say, if we want to, I have just, for example, I have taken this, you can say, case study. Like if we replace the CNG or PNG with the CBG, everybody is about aware about this CBG, the compressed biogas. So I think we can replace it the CNG or PNG if with the CBG. So how this project will be getting carbon credits, and how the monetary benefits can be availed, the or you can say the additional revenue can be generated through sale of carbon credits. So these are one example. So like, say example, current situation is like we are using CNG, PNG in the transportation, and PNG for cooking and industrial applications also. So there is certain carbon emission, certain amount of CO2 emission is there when we are burning CNG, PNG in the transport sector and in cooking also. So there is certain emission factors, and we can calculate the baseline how much CO2 emissions we are producing per kg or per liter of CNG, PNG, like that. So project idea, like if we produce the CBG from the agro-based or municipal solid waste, so there is certain definition of the renewable source of energy. So once we produce this CBG and we replace this, so there is a certain, you can say, additionality is also there. So it is not like that every project based on the renewable source will be applicable for getting the carbon credits or to getting the registered into the voluntary carbon market. So basically it is based on the capex and opex. So say example, if capex and opex for the CBG is greater than the capex and opex of PNG or CNG, so in that case additionality will be there because it means it is not viable. So we need to show or justify the project, the viability, that without getting the benefit of the carbon credits, this project will not be viable. So that is the very important, you can say, eligibility criteria to get the project registered under this market. So also like carbon markets, like additional revenue stream. So that is the, like, emission reductions will be counted, like baseline emissions when we are using CNG, PNG, and also some emissions will be there from the project also. So we will detect the project emissions, and whatever the difference will be there, it will be converted into carbon credit. So these are the basic example how this carbon projects will be registered. So methodology to quantify the GHG benefits. So there are certain methodologies available under the CDM. As of now, all the method, not all, I think more than 90% methodology will be applicable for VERA and this gold standards also, which are already approved by the CDM. So for CBG, there is certain methodology. So we need to follow that methodology, and it is similar for all similar projects. So regulatory of carbon markets, like if the project is registered along with the gold standard. So the gold standard will be the regulatory. So they have already approved some methodology. So based on that, the baseline will be established, and the actual emissions through the project will be calculated. And based on that, the quantity of GHG emission annually will be calculated, and accordingly, carbon credit will be issued. So now, so what is the history of international carbon market? I think in 1992, the first agreement was signed. I think in the conference that is called the Earth Summit or the Rio Summit. It was held in Rio. So the Rio Summit was there in Brazil. So and after that, Kyoto Protocol came into the picture, and that UNFCCC agreement basically came into force in 1994. After that, basically Kyoto Protocol is the addendum of that particular UNFCCC. So and then 2001 agreement for on the Kyoto Protocol rules was made in the Morocco in 2001, and this Kyoto Protocol came into force in 2005. So the first legal binding for reduction of carbon emissions in the developed countries came into the picture, and the first phase was there from 2008 to 2010, or you can say that are the CDM projects. And then after that, in 2015 Paris Agreement, and that then rules were made, and 2021 the market rules also has been also issued, that how this Paris Agreement will work. So you know that now NDCs are there. So every country has declared their NDC with certain timelines. So for 2021 onwards, now this NDC, based on the NDC, market will work. And the international target periods already we have discussed, and international carbon market. So earlier some pilot projects were implemented in the scheme of AGI, activities implemented jointly. Then Kyoto Protocol market mechanism for CDM, and Paris Market Corporation now. So the compliance scheme, basically, for example, I have already told you that European emission trading scheme, they launched it in 2005 based on that Kyoto protocol, and trading started. So now these are the timelines, and the independent standards are also there for voluntary carbon market. So the top portion is for compliance market, and bottom portion is for voluntary carbon. So these are the themes of the project. So which type of projects are there? So you can see between 2000 to 2010, the renewable energy, energy efficiency, and co-customer programs. Basically, these are the themes for you can say generating the carbon credits. Then the RED plus. So basically, the reducing emissions from deforestation and degradation of forest. Then the voluntary use of CDM, because it was ended in 2015 after Paris Agreement. So now Paris aligned. Now the removals of carbon under the Paris Agreement. So basically, these are the very dynamic markets. Now, as of now, you can see the only the Paris Agreement and the voluntary carbon market is available. You can say the boxes with the golden line and the dotted line, these are not basically existing as of now. So I think I will skip this. This is just for your information. Now, how many trading markets are there? Carbon trading markets. These are basically the compliance market, or you can say the emission trading scheme or the compliance carbon market. With the same, you can say synonyms for the market. So as of now, 28 emission trading schemes are available across the globe, and eight are under development. And you can see the India portion also. So under consideration 12, because we are in the draft stage. So out of 12, our carbon trading scheme is also there. So I think it will come by 2023 for voluntary carbon. I think by 2025-6 for the complex market. We will discuss in the Indian carbon market. So these are the compliance carbon market size and historical trend for last 5 years. So I think I will also not discuss in detail because we have limited time. And the global compliance carbon markets, I think these are the major emission trading schemes, or you can say that what are the price, basically the average price for particular emission trading scheme like European Union, which is around 83 USD per ton of CO2 equivalent. And in the last column, you can see in the right hand side in the table that how much coverage of their total emissions they have covered. Like, say, example, in India, we are planning to, you can say, capture all these designated consumers in 11 or 12 industrial sectors. So they have also identified certain industrial sectors, or you can say domestic and commercial sectors. So as of now, they are covering 38% of total GHG emissions. So like these, all the contribution from the major 10, 12 emission trading markets. So now what are the average price? So if you see in the bottom, so less than 10 USD per ton of CO2 equivalent of per CR, the price was discovered in 2022, and the coverage for the particular carbon credits, or you can the carbon emission, is around 4,000 to 5,000 million tons. So here I want to, the key message is that for the quantity of around 5,000 million ton of CO2, there was a price range, or you can say that the price less than the 10 USD per ton of CO2. And for the next 5,000 to 6,000, or you can say for the 1,000 million ton of carbon emission, there was a price between $10 to $30. So why I'm sharing this? Because this price is depending on the quality of carbon credit. There is terminology, the quality of carbon credit, depending which type of projects is there. Say example, nowadays there is no very less price for any solar project or wind project or hydro project, because the cost have come down. So there is no additionality is there. So based on that, the quality of, say example, if any forestry project is there, yeah, tree plantation project is there. So for such type of like mangroves, so for those projects, the price is higher. So that is the compliance market. So now I think that was the brief about the international carbon market. So we will discuss now how our market is aligned and what we are planning in the similar way which we have seen in the international carbon market. So already, I think you know that we have already committed in the Paris Agreement, and we have submitted our updated target also. So that I will not discuss in details because everybody is aware about these targets and have read many times and from the news and print media. So decarbonization strategy which we have you can say planned for 2070. So the key drivers for India's sustainability basically, and what are the supporting policies we have, and what are the initiatives or actions we have taken. So first is the accelerated adoption of renewable energy. Already we have declared that we will install 500 gigawatt install capacity by 2030. So already we have national solar mission and NDC commitment. So some supporting policy to achieve this target. So material circularity. So for say example for we have steel scrap policy, national steel policy. So and the alternate fuel and resources for like cement industry. So we have other supporting policies for material circularity. So CCUS, Indian carbon market, and ITMO. I think Niti Aayog has prepared a document for that. What are the potential for the carbon capture and utilization from different industries and how it will work. So it is under, you can say, consultation or discussion stage. So sustainable farming, we are doing some, you can say, reforming in the agriculture sector also, but as of now, I think we do not have any policy. So natural climate solutions, scale up of green hydrogen, that we have already issued a green hydrogen policy with some incentives, and we have targeted that we will produce 5 million ton per annum by 2030. So and already we are, you can say, working on EVs, and this market is also growing very fast. So we have various incentives on the PLI schemes and other benefits also, like we have FAME schemes. So energy efficiency, you know that we have already national mission on enhanced energy efficiency, and we are covering most of the industrial or energy intensive industrial sectors. Sustainability reporting, we have already SEBI has already notified this sustainability reporting standards. So now the proposed Indian carbon market, based on that, the documents which had been issued by Bureau of Energy Efficiency during the consultation meeting. So I have captured some key points for discussing here. So you know that we are the even the carbon credit. I have already discussed that we are the second largest developer and supplier of carbon credits when CDM scheme was there after China. So we are very much experienced about the carbon credit markets and how these projects are, you can say, getting registered with you can say registries, and how the carbon credits are issued, and how these are traded, and how monetary benefit you can say is received. So these are the draft ICM policy has, you can say, proposed transition of existing PAT scheme and REC mechanism. I think it is very similar because we have a very good experience of PAT scheme as well as the REC scheme, or you can say renewable energy certificates, which are under the RPO obligation for solar and non-solar energy consumption. So and also energy saving certificates under the PAT scheme, we have the experience about the research market also. It will be very similar. So the what has been proposed basically, at present we are in 2022. So we have the PAT scheme. So phase 1 we have planned that it will start from 2023 2025, and phase 2 will start from 2026 onwards. So how it will work? So already we have the compliance market in terms of energy consumption norms, and it is, you can say, it is notified basically in terms of ton of oil equivalent per ton of product. So we are doing already trading in ESCerts. So with optional conversion of carbon credit certificates will be there. So whatever the ESCerts, say example, any industry has some numbers of ESCerts. Also those ESCerts also can be converted into the carbon credit certificates to participate in the phase 1. But in phase 2, the carbon credit trading scheme will be launched. So it will take 2-3 years, and that will be called basically the carbon compliance market. So targets will be given in ton of CO2 rather than in ton of TOE. per ton of product, and trading in the carbon markets. So site certified the compliance carbon credits, you can say, trading in ESERs. Rather than ESERs, it will be in the CCCS. So that will be the compliance market. And the offset market. Offset market is basically the voluntary carbon market. So earlier this facility was not there. Somebody want to, you can say, generate ESERs, so not allowed. Only the designated consumers or obligated entity were allowed. But in this carbon market, it has been proposed that anyone which has no obligation to reduce their carbon emission, they can come into the market and they can come up with the offset projects and get the carbon credits, and they can sell, and they are also allowed to trade the carbon credits into the voluntary market. So the option mechanism will focus on basically the purpose is to, you can say, incentivize to the carbon reduction project from the non-obligated energy or non-energy sector industry, because it is already mandatory for all PAT industries for carbon reduction targets. So, and the transitioning of PAT scheme, which has been proposed, that from the cycle 4, so it is already there that conversion will be there. They can go for the conversion. But from the cycle 9, the target will be notified in terms of, and also the 3-year cycle will be reduced in the 1-year cycle. And so every year now, the compliance, like M&B audit, earlier it was there under the PAT scheme. So there will be the carbon, you can say, performance of carbon credit compliance will be carbon audit will be there for the verification purpose. So cycle 9, 10, and 11 will be issued or notified, and other PAT cycles will be allowed because they will have some ESERs, additional ESERs, or they may have to purchase as per their compliance. So those will be converted into the carbon. Their option is there. There is no mandatory. They can also carry forward in the same fashion, because some trading also will be allowed up to cycle 7. So the methodology for issuance of carbon credit. So as you know, under the PAT scheme also, the same in the same fashion, the carbon credit, the issuance or the quantity of carbon credits will be calculated based on that the particular targets. The targets will be given based on that our NDC targets, and like earlier we fixed the baseline. So now for the sector wise, some carbon targets will be issued based on the different trajectory and based on the NDC's alignment. And say example, there is some 2.3 ton CO2 per unit target is there, and industry A or company A is able to reduce their carbon intensity by you can say from 2.3 to 2.1. So there will be additional you can say carbon credit will be issued, and industry B which was given the same target, but they are not able to reduce their carbon intensity. It has gone. So in the same fashion, like ESERs, it will be 1. Okay. So earlier in the PAT scheme, we covered around 13 industrial sectors. So already that will be the compliance market. So all the industrial sectors which were covered under the PAT scheme also will be covered under the carbon compliance market also, for carbon compliance also. So, and another the offset markets, which are not obligated entities. So in the the afforestation and the reforestation projects will be considered for, you can say, for issuing the carbon credits, like agriculture based any projects, waste handling and disposal, vehicle manufacturer, airlines, institutes, ports, renewable energy generators, and others who are ready to invest in the projects which are, you can say, helpful to reduce or avoid the GHG emissions. Those projects also will be eligible, and that will call the offset market, and that will be, you can say, sold to the voluntary carbon markets. Yeah. So I think recently in the last month also we have issued that under the Paris Agreement Article 6. So we have the opportunity also to, you can say, sell our this carbon credits to the other country also to meet their NDCs. Also, if we are lacking to meet our NDC targets, we can also go to the other country, or for the bilateral agreement will be there that, okay, we will invest and we will get the carbon credits. So there is some projects has been, you can say, notified by the government for the GHG mitigation activity, which can be considered or which are eligible for under the Article 6, like renewable energy with storage. So only stored component will be there, will be eligible for the carbon credit. Solar thermal power, because we do not have a much capacity for solar thermal power, and the capex is also high. And offshore wind has been considered. Any green hydrogen project also has been considered for carbon credit. Compressed biogas, already I have given the examples, and other emerging mobility solutions like fuel cells, hydrogen fuel cells, and high-end technologies for energy efficiency also. But these are the high-end technologies, not for already we have, you can say, taken the benefit of the low-hanging fruits. So sustainable aviation fuels like green ethanol, or like that is also one opportunity. And the best available technology for process improvement also, like cement or steel sector. So these are the basically hard to abate industrial sectors. So if any process improvement is there to reduce carbon emission, those such type of projects also will be considered. So these are the list of GHG mitigation activities which may be considered, which will be considered, not may be considered. And the alternative fuels, if we are producing green ammonia, like by using the green hydrogen, so that will be also considered for carbon credits. And also we have included carbon capture, utilization, and storage. So I think many emission trading schemes had not considered this CCUS as of now, but Government of India has also already given this green signal that also it will be eligible. Any CCUS project also will be eligible for the carbon credit. So draft carbon credit trading scheme, how it will work basically. So the voluntary, or you can say the offset market, is expected to enter into force by July 2023. As per that consultation meeting, as per the document, they are planning to, you can say, launch this voluntary carbon market by 2023. And then the compliance market will start, I think, after 24. So the type of certificates under the ICM basically the Indian carbon market. So first is the carbon credit certificates. That will be the basic concept. So and it will be you can say, categorized in based on the existing schemes. We have RECs, we have PAT scheme, we have ESERs. So converted CCS, you can say, though. So these are the converted CCS which will be, you can say, converted from the ESERs. And the second option will be there, that offset carbon credit certificates. Already I have discussed that any project developer can come forward for set up a project which will help to reduce the GHG emissions, will be also eligible for this carbon credit. And the mandatory carbon credit certificates. So already, like the ESERs will be, you can say, replaced with the MCCC, MCCC, mandatory carbon credit certificates. And such type of carbon credits will be generated based on the achievement of the targets under the phase 2, based on that target notified by the BE or Ministry of Power. And the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission will be working as a regulatory authority. Grid Control of India, earlier it was POSOCO, will be registry. And the power exchange and like IEX, PXIL will be trading exchange respectively. So these are the stakeholders has been, you can say, proposed in the Indian carbon market draft policy document. So these are the basic characteristics or attributes should be there for any carbon credit certificates. So it should be additional, which I have already discussed, that it should be additional. That without getting benefit of carbon credits, it will not be viable, because it is for voluntary carbon market. So based on the realistic and credible baselines, so the methodology should be, you can say, very transparent. It should be quantifiable, monitored, reported, and verified, because third-party verification will be there. So transparent chain of custody, so that will be a certain identity of particular certificates will be there. So these are some characteristics of the CCS, so I will not discuss on details. And the project timeline as per the international carbon market. So how once you are there for, you can say, set up a project which you want to avail the carbon credit benefits from the international carbon market. So these are the project timelines along with the you can say milestones. So first milestone is basically the project design, or you can say the PDD, that will be developed by the project developer, and it takes 2 to 3 months depending on the documents and data availability of the project. And then validation is done by the VBB, or you can say the validation verification body, and it also takes 6 to 9 months. Then the registration will be done at the registry, like say example the gold standard or VERA or any other VCM standards. And then monitoring will be done. Then once again verification will be done by the VBB that that much quantity has been reduced or avoided or removed through the project. And then finally the certificates will be issued by the registry. So these are the timelines and the different milestones for the international carbon markets. And these are the Indian carbon market, you can say, trading scheme, or the dark carbon credit trading schemes. So key stakeholders of carbon credits in Indian market. So there will be a Indian carbon market governing board that will be, you can say, looking oversight of the scheme, complete schemes. And the ICM administrator, that will be B, that will be done by B working as the administrator. And the ICM registry, like already we have discussed, the Grid Controller of India. Then ICM trading regulators, CRC, will be there. Then technical committee, the bureau shall constitute one or more technical committee for different areas depending on the sectors for volunteer mechanism. So then finally the like accredited carbon verified. So that is also, I think, B will prepare a eligibility criteria like M&B auditing agency in the PAT scheme. So in the same fashion, I think accredited carbon verified will be there. So that is the purport, but I'm not much aware about how it will be designed or formulated by BE. So this is a simple CBG use case which I have prepared just to know that how much carbon credits can be generated. This is a very simple example of in the municipal corporations which they have set up a biogas plant or CBG plant from the MSW base. So this is the you can say, the flow of the you can say by 300 TPD organic waste we can generate 10 TPD of CBG. So that will be converted in bio-CNG, and some rates will be there like 50 per kg. And how much FOM, fermented organic manure, will be there. So that is also very, you can say, organic manure is there. So that will help to, you can say, improve the soil health. So we are government of India is also planning to, you can say, increase the use of this fermented organic manure once the more and more plants are available in India for CBG productions. And the carbon credit through FOM, that methodology very complex, but also it can be evaluated because that is also a benefit to reduce FOM is also helpful to reduce the GHG emission through the to improving the soil health, or you can say the organic carbon in the soil. So that is the another aspect. So allow approximately 11 credit cards estimated per ton of CBG, but that may vary depending on the yield of that MSW. So that is simple examples I have made for sharing. Yeah. So how much time is remaining, Mr.
Prabhat, you go ahead. It is
Okay.
very interesting and quite insightful.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So now just I have put some you can say information on the iron and steel sectors, and how because it is not necessary that this compliance market you have to participate. That will be there, but all iron and steel sectors have their own commitment for decarbonization or to achieve their net zero. So based on that, what are the challenges, how it can be done, what are the best available technologies we will discuss, and what are the emerging technologies for, you can say, low carbon, not economy, I think low carbon steel sectors, or the green steel. So steel industry overview, just I have put 2 slides just for reference. So this is our industry growth for the crude steel production. So the capacity you can say the pink color, and the blue color is the production, and the overall utilization. This is the average utilization of the industry annually. So up to financial 2022, and I think production was 120 million ton, and the production capacity was 154 million ton. So the projected, as per the NPC, sorry, the National Steel Policy, and we have targeted that 300 million ton of steel capacity will be there, and the projected or the production target is around 255 million ton, depending on our demand and other things. So these are the basic highlights. I will not go in details at how much production capacity is from the blast furnace and basic oxide furnace route, how much capacity is for electric arc furnace route. But these are the, you can say, the leading players. You can say SAIL, RINL, TSL Group, AMNS, ArcelorMittal, Nippon Steel are the leading players, accounting 62% of the total production. So these are the basic, some key facts basically. So, and the same in the bottom graph, you can see for the finished steel, the capacity and import export also. Basically, we are the net exporter of the steel, the finished steel. So now that is very important, because you may be aware about that the CBAM one another term is coming very soon. So it is the European, basically European Union carbon tax for the imports of any. I think they have identified 5 items like aluminium, steel, fertilizers. 3 more items are also there. So for those products, they will have some carbon tax if they are importing from developing countries. So that will be very useful for, like, if we are exporting such products in European countries. So now this carbon intensity of the particular product will be considered. How much CO2 emission, CO2 we are emitting for producing 1 ton of steel. So based on that, that will be compared with their benchmark. And if we are emitting additional CO2 per ton of product, so importer need to pay that particular tax. So that will be there in near future. Already, I think they will be launching it in October 2023, but it will be effective from 2026. So we will have 3 years for you can say preparing ourselves for such type of carbon taxes for in export markets, particularly in European country. So the same for sponge iron. I think I will not take much time, because all these information are available publicly, and you can go through it. So these are the like even the sponge iron also the same production capacity and the capacity utilization is there. So I will not discuss in details. So the DRI route, and we have the basically 2 routes for producing steel. So these are the expansion plans by 2030. I think that is also not necessary, but I think we need to know which type of technology are coming and how they are, you can say, planning to reduce their carbon intensity for steel production. So these are some major players who are coming up with some big expansion plan. And I think this is from the TERI document, which they have issued the document, you can say, for the steel sector, that the roadmap to a net zero steel sector in India. So TERI has prepared a net zero roadmap for India's steel sector. So I think we have already national policy in place, national steel policy in place in 2007. Then you can say TERI has already issued a document for the consultation for how the steel sector can be decarbonized, and based on the maturity of the technologies, based on our vintage of the plant, based on the cost effectiveness for reducing CO2 emissions. So there are a certain roadmap they are preparing, and I think in 2020 it has been released also. Then the second step is the increase the scrap utilization. That will help to reduce our you can say raw materials, and also reduce the emission because the less energy consumption will be there. So green product standards that will be there. That will, you can say, motivate the green steel in the market. And the government is also planning for, you can say, put some or motivate R&Ds and the demonstration plants in India. Then public procurement targets also will be there. So by 2030, a rapid scale of new low carbon technologies. Like I think we will be having green hydrogen at the time also by 2030, and then comprehensive policy framework will be there, and the commercial scale factories, or the net zero iron steel. So by 2070, the same, like we have the overall net zero target. So they are also preparing for steel sector that by 2070, the sector also will get the net zero. Yeah. So these are the key highlights from that. I will discuss briefly that what are the key messages from this slide basically. So you can see here already we are far behind from the international best practices. Like coke rate, we are using more coke rate compared to international best practices. Like against 230, 275 to 350, we are using 400 to 600 value target for 2030 as per the national steel policy 300 350. So it will help to reduce our CO2 emissions. Like in the same fashion, we need to increase the PCI rate also. At present, we have 50 to 200 kg per ton of hot metal against the international benchmark of 200 225 around. And so and the blast furnace productivity, because the small capacity blast furnace, so we have the lower capacity per blast furnace, so the productivity is also low. And the specific energy consumption, you can say that against the international practice best benchmark for in the range of 4.5 to 5, we have around in the range of 6. So these are the targets for 2030-31. And the current status quo you can see here. Definitely we have improved our energy intensity, we have reduced our carbon intensity, and you can see the examples here that the coke rate in the sales steel authority of India Limited 448 reduced from the 473 in 2007. So coke rate also, these are some examples I have given that how we are improving these KPIs for steel sectors. So the key message from this slide, you can say right hand top, that second block, you can see here the average CO2 emission intensity of the Indian steel industry has reduced from around 3.1 ton per ton of crude steel in 2005, when it was 2.6 in 2020. So the global average is about 2.2 ton of carbon dioxide per ton of crude steel. So we are, say, closing to the industrial benchmark. So, but now this is the at present scenario, and these are some targets, the forecast that how much production is required to meet our demand. Like 300 million ton we have targeted as per the steel policy. So now I will move forward. So now how steel sector will prepare themselves for carbon markets, or to calculate their GHG footprint, and how it will be done, what will be the standards. As of now, we are following the international standards. So AISI is basically American Iron and Steel Institute. Recently, I think last month, in the last month, January 2023, they have released a methodology for steel sector for estimating GHG emissions for the integrated steel plant. So because it is required for the consistent GHG reporting, because now it will be it is not like that whatever we have calculated, okay, we have considered scope 1, we have considered scope 2, so somebody has not considered scope 3. So there should be certain reporting format or consistent GHG reporting or calculation, or some guidelines should be there. So based on those guidelines, they have recommended these you can say inputs, that how we have considered, like inputs, transportation of raw materials, scrap collection. So these are some coal mining, so downstream and you can say upstream both, and the manufacturing facilities. So they have considered three, scope 1, 2, and 3 also. So I think that document is available. We don't have much time to discuss in details all the scope 3, but I have also put some slides that how this GHG sources emissions can be segregated into the 3 categories or under the 3 scope. So based on that, so all the GHG emissions has been segregated in the 3 categories: scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. I think everybody will be aware about the scope 1. So basically, these are the direct emissions which are happened in the company facility on the company premises and through the company vehicles or the company owned vehicles. And scope 2 basically called indirect. Once we are, say example, you don't have the captive power plant, your own power generation facility, and you are purchasing electricity from the grid. So basically this is the scope 2 because you are not emitting any carbon emission, but you are using electricity from the grid. So somewhere else carbon emission is there. So that also will be considered, and based on the grid emission factor, that emissions quantity will be calculated. Say example, you need steam from your process, but you don't have boiler. You are not burning any fuel, and you are outsourcing steam from somewhere else. So scope 2 that those such type of source of GG emission will be considered under scope 2. And scope 3 is basically very large scope, and I think when you are so mostly industries are committing based on the scope 1 and 2. So you need to decide that which type of scope you are considering first based on the priority, based on the cost effectiveness. So there are three type of you can say segregate all type of sources of GHG emissions into three categories. So I think under scope 3 also we have 15 subcategories. So based on that, also out of 15, 8 categories are related to the upstream activities, and the 7 subcategories are related to the downstream activity. So I think the industry people are already doing this exercise because everybody is calculating their carbon footprint. They are you can say preparing their carbon inventory based on their they are making their plans for GHG reduction. So I think everybody is on the path for calculation. So typical GHG calculation scope in iron and steel sector basically. What I have done, it is related to the scope 1 category. So if we are talking about the scope 1, that how, so you can segregate all this in zone 4, facility 1, facility 2. These are all facilities which are there in the company premises. So these are the 4. Just I have prepared. I have not. You can say nobody has proposed this. So we can segregate iron and steel integrated steel plant in 4 zones, and based on that we can start calculating our GHG emissions in each and every facility. So, but how you will calculate the CO2 emissions from their energy sources? So there are certain emissions factors are available. You need to calculate each and every factors. These are publicly available. So GHG protocols is also there. So based on that, I have collected some, just for giving some examples that how this CO2 conversion will be there, that how much CO2 actually the industries which are already having experience under the PAT scheme, I think they will not those will not face any problem, because it is the same fashion. Just you need to convert all the energy sources which you are using in the plant by some conversion factor, and there are certain conversion factor that directly will give you to the CO2 emissions, how much CO2 emissions there for the per kg. Say example, if you are using RFO या coal, say example you are using lignite in the right hand side column. So there is certain 101 kg of CO2 per gigajoule. So once you have the GCV of the fuel, then you can calculate how much gigajoule is there. So you can calculate how much CO2 emission will be there for burning 1 kg of coal or 1 kg of oil, 1 kg of petrol. So there is a already defined or declared certification, emission factors are available. Sorry. So another key conversion factors you can see here. Say example, somebody, because we are very familiar about the ton of oil equivalent. Okay, we know that this much amount is energy we have consumed in PAT scheme, we are aware. So you can see here the key conversion factor, like 1 ton of oil equivalent is equal to 41.84 gigajoule. So once you will convert it into energy, then you can calculate that how much kg CO2 will be generated. So just for just sharing purpose, I have, but this is long document, and you will be having each for each type of energy sources certain emission factors depending on the source. Like you can follow the GHG protocols also. GHG inventory protocols, it is already public document and you can use those. So I have just mentioned which type of scope 3 emissions will be there, like upper stream scope 3. Scope 3 actually covers the two types of GHG emissions, upstream and downstream. So certain categories are there and the scope 3 emissions, like purchase goods and services, capital goods, fuel, transportation and distribution, waste generation and operations. So these are business troubles. So these are some different, but it is for upstream. So and downstream we have other 7 activities or subcategories in which some definition is there. If you need, you can go the definition and you can have the more clarification about the scope 3 emissions, because scope 3 emission very complex for any industry or for any business organization to calculate accurately. So, so industry are avoiding declaring under scope 3. So I think one aspect I because at initial stage I was also a little bit confused. What are the carbon neutral and net zero? So we need to understand. I think there is a difference between the net zero and the carbon neutral. So definition is different, emissions covered are different. So we can you can say exclude the scope 3 emissions if we want to carbon neutral. But in net zero scenario, we need to include scope 1 and 2, 3 complete. And this applicable offset, I think this carbon avoidance or reduction credits and removal credits, both are applicable. And basically, you can say the carbon neutral cover a definite part of business operations, not completely, and typical accounts for CO2 emissions, not for the other GHG emissions, because we have other component for GHG emissions also. So we can consider only CO2 emissions. And net zero, on the other hand, means that a company reduce all greenhouse emissions across its whole supply chain. So these are the basic tips in the net zero and neutral. So these are some energy. I think I will not take much time to discuss in energy efficient technologies. You can say, or the BAT, basically the best available technologies which are, you can say, already available at commercial scale and many industries already implemented. And based on that, you can say the level of adoptions I have mentioned, which technology has been already, you can say A is the highest, or you can say the most industries has been adapted those technologies for improving their energy efficiency. B is adapted by sector leaders, and C is not yet adapted. Maybe basically it is not much cost effective. So that is why the level of adaptation I have mentioned in the last column. So, but I think everybody is aware. I conducted recently audit for 2 steel sectors, JSW, Salem, and this ESL. So they are also planning, like serial number 9, the top pressure recovery turbine. So that is the new concept. It is coming already. I recommended in many industries, like CDQ is very good heat recovery system rather than the wet quenching. Or so these are some. I think I will not. It will take much time to discuss each and every technologies for energy efficiency improvement. So we can avoid it because we are talking about the low carbon technology. So I will discuss more in low carbon technologies, or which are emerging basically, and it will be available for next 5 to 10 years for at industrial levels. So these are another. So around 2022 technologies are there for these. This is for the DRI route. So for the 2 different routes, we have segregated all the energy efficient technologies, which also help to basically reduce the carbon emission. Because once we are reducing the energy consumption, it is directly related to the GHG emissions, or you can say CO2 equivalent emissions. So any energy, because the energy efficiency or energy consumption is the pillar or the basic, you can say, the baby steps to move forwards for decarbonize your industry. Because still we have the energy efficiency improvement opportunity around 15-20% in our existing operations. So that is very, very important to, you can say, the low hanging fruits to move forwards for net zero. And now the emerging emissions reduction technologies for, you can say, what I am talking about for the green steel or the low carbon steel. So there are the three categories. First, how we can, it is for basically steel sectors, that how we can change our process, or how can electrify our processes rather than using the conventional or fossil fuels. So one such type of technology are emerging, like cider vane and the metal oxide and the green industry hydrogen S2 future. These are some technologies which are based on the electricity or the green electricity. And the hydrogen based technologies are available, like hybrid flash oxide smelting, salcos, course 50, sustainable steel, and which are linked with that carbon capture and storage or utilization. So like high sarna, that is the, you can say, the combination of two technologies, high smelt and isarna. These are two technology developers, and I think isarna is developed at the Tata Steel of their European plant. So like steel and all, that is also the project for steel. They are making ethanol by capturing the CO2 from the blast furnace, and carbon capture storage. So these are related to the carbon capture in the top circle. So this is an overview. And as you know that there is no single solution for CO2 free or the green steel manufacturing. So we need to focus depending on the circumstances, depending on the vintage of the plant, depending on the, you can say, the availability of the funds, and how fast you want to decarbonize the industry. So depending on that, various technologies are available, and we need to select such type of technology. So these are the some brief descriptions which I have discussed in earlier slides, like Salcos. So that is a company, Salitator low CO2 steel making company. So Salitator is the company or technology provider. So they are making basically these are the projects which have been demonstrated in steel sectors. So that is why I have mentioned those names. So because it is not now in the talking only. So we are talking about the green hydrogen, but already it has gone up to the industrial skills, or the demonstration projects are there in industry. And in coming 3-4 years, the full scale capacity will be there. Sustainable steel, these are the projects already. They are hybrid, course 50 already have discussed. And but steel and all, carbon to chemical, high sarna, and these are the few projects. Basically, these projects have been implemented, I have mentioned here, across the globe, but mostly in the European countries. So, and basically, the technical supply are also from those countries. And yes. So, now, what are the potential for Indian steel sectors? How India, you can say, can decarbonize, or how fast we can decarbonize our steel sector. So some suitability of those technologies which are available commercially or financially, or you can say the based on the TRL, the technological readiness level. So I have mentioned some technologies based on TRL. And the emission reduction potentials, you can see here what are the emission reduction potential which we can reduce from the steel sector, and the suitability for the deep carbonization. So these are the some technologies, and these are the based on carbon capture, utilization, and storage. So in this slide, you can see all these 4 technologies based on the carbon capture and utilization. So blast furnace and BOF route with CCUS. So possibility to reduce, if you install carbon capture utilization plant on this blast furnace of gas, so possibility to reduce the CO2 by 60% we can reduce. But this potential can be higher. But we know that there are the multiple source of CO2 emission in the steel sector. So based on that, substantial the cost will be higher. So you can see in the last column, limited cost effective CO2 capture will restrict the use of the technology for deep carbonization, although it could play an important role in retrofitting existing plants. So I think some existing plants, it can be also retrofitted, but because of the cost effectiveness, the limited, you can say, may be possible. The most industry may not be adopting those technologies. So coal-based DRI with CCUS, that is the another route for. Also, we can put carbon capture utilization plant over there for DRI. natural gas DRI with CCUS, smelting reduction with CCUS. You know that like we are producing aluminum through the smelters. So already there is a 20% less energy consumption, but if we come up with the CCUS technology, then I think we can reduce 80% up to 80% of CO2 emission in particular technology. So these are the hydrogen base. So same the blast furnace with the hydrogen blending. So I think there is also limited potential because the hydrogen injection is not, you can say, we can do this partially. We cannot increase or we cannot do it 100% at blast furnace. So that is why there is a limited emission reduction potential. And as hydrogen in DRI, so yes, emission reduction potential definitely it will be higher compared to blast furnace hydrogen penetration or hydrogen injection in the blast furnace. And the another technology is hydrogen plasma. Once hydrogen is available or the green hydrogen is available at the lower rate in the range of $1 to $2, then I think these all technologies will come into the picture, and maybe the cost effectiveness will be there for those technologies. And the electrolysis, so direct electrification. So these are some emerging technologies and which have very good potential for the GHG emission to produce steel. Yeah. So so overview of hydrogen use in steel sector now, because we are talking about the green hydrogen usage in steel and cement sector. Already we have usage of hydrogen in refinery, petrochemical and fertilizers. They are already using. So initially they will use green hydrogen. They will replace the conventional or the gray hydrogen or the with the green hydrogen. But in steel sectors, these are the opportunities already I have discussed. So hydrogen can work as a reducing agent, but auxiliary, not 100% in the BF route, or as a reducing agent in process in DRI. And there are the two type of technologies. We can use the gray hydrogen also, because there is a time for getting green hydrogen at the cheaper rate. So timing we can start, you can say, implementing gray hydrogen, which is coming from steel methane reformation. And if green hydrogen available through the electrolysis of water, then also we can start with this route. So yeah. These are the other carbon capture, utilization and storage potential. I think this is another topic. Will time I can skip it, but I will discuss these slides. The carbon capture, utilization and storage. So what are the technologies and what are the potentials? What are the challenges for because we have discussed that CCUS will helpful to decarbonize our the hard to abate industries like steel and cement. So basically the challenges is the high capex is required as of now, and we have the challenge to storage, or the storage cost is very high, and still we are finding out some you can say utilization of captured CO2 from the process or from the power plant also. So so capacity, the captive utilization, actually the viability options, what may be the viability options. So if we have captive utilization, if we can make some product by using captured CO2, and which can be used within the premises, within the plant, or the carbon market, already if we have a good price for the projects which are generating carbon credits like CCUS, then and the another options like CO2 or chemical softex. Because yesterday I was reading some news that one company is also have got success in the R&D stage for making pharmaceuticals from the captured CO2. So advancement is going on. So these are the you can say amine scrubbing is there if you talk about the technology. And offtake approaches, food and beverage, they can use CO2. Industrial chemicals and fertilizer also can use CO2 for preparing urea and DAP. So chemicals, methanol, ethanol and formic acid, and building materials also, like we can use in curing of concrete. These are some carbon capture technology providers. Carbon, I think these are all available, and which type of technology they are using. So I have just tried to summarize some top 8 to 10 carbon, you can say technology, carbon capture technology providers name here, just for your reference, just to know who are working in this field and which type of technology they are using. And some projects which are there for like in building material sectors, how and they are using CO2, capture CO2 to in building materials sectors, and also chemicals, methanol, ethanol. So these are the technology providers, and some project locations where the projects. So we can go through it and we can go in details how they are working, what is the cost. So details can be uh, can be got from public domain for if you need further information. So another emerging technologies for application of, because once we do not have the utilization application, this CCUS will not flourish. Otherwise, it will be very cost effective once we identify the utilization of CO2, because we have not you can say much potential for the sequestration and the storage. So once, because you may be aware that we are talking now the carbon circular economy also. So we are talking about different type of economies whenever we are talking about circular material circular economy. Now I think until we focus on carbon circular economy, it will be very difficult to achieve net zero, because we need to circulate this carbon. We need to, you can say, identify the different application for recycling the CO2. Then and then we can achieve the net zero. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. So the carbon circular economy very, very important. So I think many institution, industries, and you can say R&D are there for identify cost-effective ways basically to utilize this captured CO2. So different applications are there. Carbon mineralization, already I have discussed that concrete curing we can use, desalination, enhanced geothermal systems, urea yield boosting we can use this CO2, and as a chemical feedstock. But we need to see, and in the, you can see the many projects are, you can say, going on in the European countries, and you can see the projects. Yeah. And so I will skip this, and carbon capture India overview. So what actually recently Niti Aayog has received, I have already said that all the details, how much potentials we have for carbon capture, storage, and utilization, and what are the technologies are available for utilization, and how much we can do the storage, or you can say we can do enhance oil recovery, or the seabed, under the seabed, how much we can do. So these all details I have captured here. So I will skip, and these are some companies which are already working in carbon capture and utilization in India. So recently, I have read that ONGC has planned with the Norway-based company Equinor. So they have 1.5 million tons of CO2 annually, and they have identified, they have, you can say, made agreement with different companies. They will collect, they will store and collect the CO2, captured CO2 from the industry, and they will, you can say, permanently store into the deep seabed of the coast of Gujarat. So there are some already MOU has been signed. So NTPC is also working. So we are also working on the viability or feasibility of CCUS, because it is very, very important, because we have the power plant coal based power plant more than 70%, and we can't, you can say, ignore, or we cannot shut down all the power plant. So we need such type of technology so that we can utilize our existing infrastructure to meet our increasing demand, energy demand. So it is very, very important to, you can say, go in details of such technology. So these are the, you can say, cost effectiveness. I think this is also from that Niti Aayog documents, that from the different routes for the different industries. Say example, I talk about the iron and steel sectors, and if I consider the average plant capacity of 2 million ton per annum from blast furnace BOF route, ISP, interior steel plant, so the cost will be around, if you see the last column and the fourth row, 2,900 to 3,600, or average you can say 3,000 rupees per ton of CO2. So that will be the cost of CO2 capture. So these are the different technologies. I think you can go through in the different, and there is a huge potential of the 10,000 CR annually for utilizing that. So thank you very much. Now it's end my presentation.